Josh, it's wonderful to meet you. Thank you so much for being on Speed.
Thanks for having me. It's the most painful part of working at Profound. It's so good that people assume it's fake.
A few weeks ago, I met Josh from Profound on a beautiful sunny day in New York City. In previous episodes of Speed, we've always spoken to founders. But what about those early team members who forgo bigger salaries and easier lives because they really believe in the mission of the company? Josh's impact as the second employee at Profound has made him integral to this company's growth and success. With a very impressive background in AI search, marketing, and SEO, he has become a clear strategic leader in this space and a wonderful voice for this company.
We're the Sherpa, we're the guides. We're the humble servants of these people and these brands as they make their way up to the top of Everest.
Just about when everyone had gotten their heads around SEO, along came ChatGPT, Claude, and Perplexity. And it brought with them a brand new industry, AEO.
Answer engine optimization is really the next layer of search engine optimization. It's the idea that, we're seeing billions of consumers and consumer queries shifting towards ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, and away from these traditional search engines like Google or Bing.
Josh is employee number 2 at Profound, arguably the leading player in AEO today. As brands around the world of every size compete to be surfaced first by these AI answer engines, Josh is helping these companies to maximize their reach, visibility, and sales.
It's a totally nascent space. It's completely uncharted territory for brands and branded discovery, especially with the new shifting interaction between users and these technologies.
In less than just 1 year, they've already onboarded 2,000 marketers from over 500 companies like Ramp, DocuSign, Indeed, and Chime. What were some of the tactics that you guys used to achieve that so quickly?
Tactically, it's violence and aggression.
A few months ago, Profound raised a whopping $35 million Series B to continue to build the go-to dashboard for marketers in the AI era.
60% of Americans are using AI search for commercial intent, identifying products, services, brands that they want to buy every week. The way to win at AI search is to embrace the inherent volatility as a feature of your own competitive moat in that channel.
This is episode 7 of Speed, out now. Josh, it's wonderful to meet you. Thank you so much for being on Speed.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Great to see you.
Great to see you. At Format, we haven't spoken a lot about the product that we're launching, but we found ourselves increasingly over the last couple of weeks and months speaking more and more about the things that we really care about, kind of natural, right? And so we wanted to formalize this by interviewing people from some of the best companies in the world about how they think about a few different topics. Those topics are, how are people building extraordinarily quickly in technology today? When they do that, how are they managing to maintain a very high quality bar in the work that they do? And how are they sticking truly close to customers through that process, which is notoriously difficult? You're employee number 2 at Profound. It's been a wild and wonderful year for you guys. You have scaled to 2,000 marketers and beyond. You've raised back-to-back rounds from people like Kleiner Perkins and Sequoia. You are leading the new industry of AEO. So maybe that's a place for us to start. Can you explain to viewers that may not be familiar, what is AEO?
So answer engine optimization is really the next layer of search engine optimization. It's the idea that, we're seeing billions of consumers and consumer queries shifting towards ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, and away from these traditional search engines like Google or Bing, because the search engines themselves are starting to provide full answers. They've moved from being kind of the means to the end, where you would go into search to try to find out the information of what you wanted to do, all the way now to where you go to an AI assistant to do the thing. Like if I'm going to generate a marketing plan, I'm not going to go to Google and learn how to do it. I'm going to go to ChatGPT and say, generate it to me. The unbelievable part of that is that there are strategies by which brands, products, services can be more visible in experiences like ChatGPT. If you asked what's the best SUV for a family of 4, there are methods by which Chevy could make the Silver or the Tahoe or the Silverado show up as the #1 truck or SUV. Those things and those technologies paired with brands it's a totally nascent space. It's completely uncharted territory for brands and branded discovery, especially with the new shifting interaction between users and these technologies.
You've been very clear, I think, at Profound about calling it answer engine optimization and not some other variant of that. Can you
Sure.
help us understand why you're so strong on this?
I mean, the idea goes back to the idea of what these technologies accomplish, right? When you go to ChatGPT, what you're looking for is you're looking for the answer to the question itself. You're not looking to, I mean, when you talk about generative engine optimization or AI optimization, which some people are calling it, first of all, I think those terms are much less ownable. Like from a perspective of like, I'm a professional in geo. If you Google geo, we're still talking about geography. If you look at AI optimization, it's super technical. It's people who are literally AI engineers who work on the foundation models. So neither of those terms are really mutually exclusive with the kind of work that we're doing here. And none of them really encapsulate the shift in user behavior, the shift towards answers, the shift away from search, the shift into information that gives you the specific, um, the end point of that customer journey or the full customer journey. The point of answer engine optimization is to be the answer. That's what every brand wants to. What's the best SUV? Chevy wants to be the answer. The Silverado, the Tahoe, that's the best SUV. I don't know anything about being the generative or being generative in it. I mean, obviously the answer engine is generative, but it's providing the thing that we're all optimizing towards. That's the way I think of it. It's really philosophical, but I think it's really important.
Yeah, it is. And it speaks to the nascency of the space that you're all starting to battle over the acronyms, which I think is interesting.
It's true.
Um, in an answer, people tend to get everything they need. It means they click fewer links, right? You guys run an event called Zero Clicks.
It's true.
That is a very marked change in behavior of consumers, and a notoriously difficult one for marketing teams to get their heads around when everything has been based on eyeballs and clicks for multiple decades.
Yes.
So how are you starting to think of that and build that into the product and educate the wider market on that?
I mean, if you look at the search was always heading in this direction. Google had always had a vested interest in trying to keep people on Google. And the beautiful thing is that there are playbooks that you can make, but I think the warning signs have been here for a long time. Google had introduced the featured snippet. Google had introduced people else. Like if you had looked at Google in 2007 versus Google in 2019, pre-ChatGPT, it would have still been an entirely different experience where Google's got 10 different modals and buttons and drop downs and breadcrumb lists. And there's tons of different ways to interact with that search engine result pages. But now, obviously, the unleashing of the LLM onto the SERP has totally shifted what it even means to try to keep people on the search. So Google's obviously going to use that to the maximum effect possible. The beautiful thing is that like I came from enterprise software myself. I know the challenge of tracking the qualitative. We're moving in a more like if you look at search as like something that like what's the cost of tracking search? Basically the graph of like cost of tracking search is just going absolutely parabolic right now. Like search is becoming incredibly qualitative, incredibly personalized. It's starting to behave more like particle physics with all the different tokens and LLMs and all the ways that like changing one word in a query will change the whole outcome of that query very differently than how we would think about search. And so if I'm thinking about this as a brand, if I'm thinking what's the next step of this, it is kind of to throw away the old models of data, at least a little bit, and start embracing the qualitative elements. I think it's really interesting because, many of the marketing orgs in the Fortune 500 right now, they're faced with this choice. Like, what do we do with our data models now that our data models are starting to break down? What do we do with all this? I think to some extent, it's productive to look outside of, the confined areas of data and try to find new ways to map value and new ways to map what a click means or what influence means in search. We know that, for instance, 60% of Americans are using AI search for commercial intent, for really identifying products, services, brands that they want to buy every week. So that's a majority of people. We did a survey on, I think it's 2,300 or 2,700 Americans just a few weeks ago. And we had that incredible insight. And there's even more into that, but like,
But
it's a shifting behavior.
it's interesting, and you can see that, right? For the first time in something like 23 or 24 years, Google search volume globally has decreased.
Yes.
Right? And so the teams that are going to succeed are going to be the teams that acknowledge that fact very early and respond
Yeah.
to that very
Yeah,
quickly.
you need to acknowledge it.
But when the companies that were originally at the infrastructure layer and are now moving increasingly to the app layer, you know, solutions like ChatGPT can flip on and off other sorts of tools overnight, it becomes very difficult for brands and companies to respond to that. An example, you know, ChatGPT started to surface more Wikipedia citations. Wikipedia citations increased 15% pretty much overnight.
Yep.
How do you, a profound, think about protecting customers, your customers, brands, when that can just happen so quickly?
Wikipedia is up 67% over the last 4 weeks. Reddit's up another like 50 or 80%, 50 to 80%, depending on where you slice it. If you look at late July, they're up 80%.
Yeah.
If you look at like mid-August, they're up 50%.
But no brand was thinking about
No one
writing on
was thinking about it.
Wikipedia
Absolutely
4
not.
weeks ago.
No, absolutely not. The way I describe the space is that it is like the stock market at the invention of the stock market, where it is this smoke-filled room. It is incredibly hazy. There is cigar smoke everywhere, and people are moving incredibly quickly to change the entire landscape with actions that are remarkably simple. If you look at SEO, the way SEO updates are done, if you have any experience with that whatsoever, you know that like when Google releases an update, that update is done, it's done with weeks of preparation.
Yeah.
It's rolled out, there's press coverage of it. It is this whole parade, really. And people are reacting, they're weighing in real time. Google's adjusting in real time. ChatGPT is literally going into the code and writing Reddit plus 50%, enter, ship it, you know, deploy, GitHub, go. The importance here is that despite the choppiness of the waves, it's more signal that the people who understand where things are going and can move with real agility onto what's moving on a month-to-month basis will benefit tremendously, maybe even exponentially more than people who are trying to. You're never going to succeed in pinning down AI search right now. The way to win at AI search is to embrace the inherent volatility as a feature of your own competitive moat in that channel.
So, OpenAI formed a partnership with Reddit, right? You've mentioned some of the statistics there. Are partnerships the new levers of power in how brands start to attract?
Huge levers of power. Absolutely. They're huge. It's massive leverage. But obviously you have to get in a room there.
Exactly. And by virtue, most people are not at that table.
Yes. And so what does it mean for brands outside of that space? Like, what does it mean for shopping? Shopify is the #1 integration for shopping within ChatGPT. What does that mean for retailers who want to list their products?
Yeah.
I think that we're going to see some fragmentation on some of those points. I also think that Google's watching that very closely as well with their own I mean, we're not going to see AI mode become the default Google search experience until ads are in AI mode. Right. Because until we can commercialize that and figure out how to get brands to the table, because at the end of the day, all of these search experiences only work when brands are at the table, and many of them are at the table at the same time.
Yeah.
That's the adoption bottleneck, I think, in terms of really commercializing AI search.
How far away from that are we, do you think, at this point?
Who's to say? I don't know what they're doing at OpenAI on a partnerships level, but I think we're probably 6 months to a year away from real meaningful commercialization. It could be as soon as, December, we start to see things moving. But I think, frankly, 2026 is going to be a big year. I think if 2025 is the year of let's acknowledge AI search, 2026 is let's figure out the money. Let's find the dollars behind it. Let's talk about ROI. Let's talk about moving commerce and moving units in this new search layer.
So do you think that that is one of the most profound, excuse the pun, changes that's coming down the line for AEO?
No one's ready for it. Yeah, no one knows what that looks like either, though.
Yeah.
Right? What do ads look like? What's a keyword? If I have a 10-paragraph query, what's the keyword? And I have a 5-year-old. My 5-year-old likes gummy bears, but only the red ones. But they can't be too sour, and I don't want them to contain too much sugar. Where do I buy those in bulk? What's the keyword? If I'm Haribo gummy bears, what am I bidding on? What's the ad network?
The entire infrastructure will have to change.
You have to change the modality of keywords, which is also why the traditional players in our space, I think, are going to struggle to keep up, because that base unit, if you think about in physics, it's like the atom. We've changed what the atom is, Now, how do physicists react to that? How do we adapt to that situation? It's crazy.
It's now a pretty competitive space already, right? And that's interesting. Who uh, out there are you watching very closely?
Ooh, it's a good question. I think if we're going to talk about who we're really thinking about, I think, well, besides your OpenAI, which we're watching obviously extremely closely, you know, you've got to think about Perplexity. Perplexity is like
Yeah.
the canary in the coal mine. They're always first to most things generally, right? Shopping. They were the first to search within LLMs. They were like, what if we plugged an LLM into a web search API? If you're thinking about, more in our product sphere, I think, and AirOps is a really interesting company right now in our space. There's plenty of different players. There's Otterly. There's a bunch of different folks, and everyone's got a slightly different angle with how they want to package the data, how they want to talk about it. But it's a it's definitely like the age of exploration. We're all kind of going out in our ships and trying to find, the new world. We're trying to map the coastline of what this looks like, and everyone's doing it in a different way. It's very compelling to watch.
And I want to come back a little bit later to attribution because I think that's a really interesting space to dig into. But if you were to think in the competitive landscape, when Profound is neck and neck in deals, you're in bake-offs, what are the statistics from your competitors that you wish you could see?
Statistics from my competitors that I wish I could see. I don't know. That one's interesting. I mean,
Like, what are the performance metrics in a bake-off, in a deal, when you're trying to convince a company to use Profound over something else? What are the sorts of things that you put in front of them and you say, here's why you should choose Profound?
I mean, we're lucky enough to we have. I think most people have AI visibility. AI visibility, citations, that's table stakes now, and our competitors have it. Everyone's got it. The reason that Profound stands out, the reason that Profound is different, is because we have real prompt volumes. We have workflow orchestration. We combine not only the ability to see what real people are searching and putting into the answer engine,
Yeah.
but we already have the table stakes part of like, if you give us, if we run 10 prompts, here's the citations, here's the brand visibility. We can tell you on top, you might have given us 10 prompts, but here are the 10 prompts that people are actually asking.
Right.
Here are the 100 things that people want to know about, running shoes. Here are the 100 things people want to know about gummy bears. That doesn't exist anywhere. And the beautiful thing about our data set is that it's incredibly proprietary, not because of any hard reasons, but because of the effort, the soft work that we put into building this. It's 40-something data panels, dozens of data partnerships. It is 100.00% based on real prompt volume. I don't mean to plug super hard, but like we show this to professional SEOs and they're like, we don't believe you. We literally think it's a joke. And it's the most painful part of working at Profound because it's so good that people assume it's fake. And that's a big winner. But when you combine that with workflows, when you combine that with orchestration.
So that's what I think is so interesting in this space, right? Like the typical B2B SaaS playbook still applies to you guys quite significantly. It's often still feature v feature comparisons. It's integrated workflows across various data sets and different platforms that people have. And so it's just utilizing this different application or this different original data that you're using. So I think that's interesting as you start to really compete and as the space heats up.
There's no precedent for the amount of unstructured data that we're processing in the world.
Yeah.
We're talking about like hundreds of millions of real queries. We're talking about literally our data set right now is 3 billion citations, right around 350 million actual ChatGPT responses.
Yeah.
Nobody has that. I saw a post from...
But they will. Right.
Yeah,
At some point, like it's a race to get there. It sounds like you guys are quick, but won't everybody get there?
I think the important part is what you do with the data right now, though. I think the beautiful thing is we've got it now. You might have it in 8 months, but we're talking about what we're playing with at the moment, what products we're developing with, billions of citations today. I don't know anyone who has billions of citations.
So first mover advantage still applies.
Absolutely. Huge, and it's actually exponential, at least in our field.
Interesting. Let's talk a little bit about how you guys scaled so quickly, right? You got to like 2,000 marketers very, very fast.
Yeah.
What were some of the tactics that you guys used to achieve that so quickly?
Tactically, it's violence and aggression. As our founder and CEO, James Cadwallader, likes to put it. We want to be everywhere all the time. Like the the modality is that like the mindset of the team, if you will, is that if there is a gap, we just need to fill. Like our job is not to spend time strategizing what we want to do. Our job is to identify gaps and fill them immediately, and execute incredibly quickly. Sometimes without second thought, often without second thought, where we know we need to be.
Yeah.
So we're not thinking too hard about what we're doing and where we're doing it. We're thinking about coverage. We're thinking about just getting in the market and playing in the market aggressively. That's the function right now.
And the skill of that though, and the essence of this series is doing that at a higher quality than anyone else.
Absolutely.
Because everyone can move really fast and run around like headless chickens and try to do it. But the winners are the people that manage to do that at a very high quality.
That's exactly right.
What are some of the things that you think that you guys have just done to an extraordinarily high quality that have set you apart, that have enabled that growth?
I mean, the marketing of Profound has been incredible so far. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to come out of the gates, the partnerships that we've made with some of the most influential people in the SEO industry themselves. I mean, these are folks who, they audit, dozens of different SEO tools. They look at, everyone wants to talk to them. I think early on realizing that the SEO manager, as well as the CMO, were both going to be really important to bring into the room and kind of sit down and talk with them about what the value prop is going to be, how we're going to build their business better for 2025 and beyond. That was the essential kind of partnership, bringing those folks together, because the CMO is already looking at the SEO manager and saying, what's the plan? Our clicks are down 40%, our traffic's down 60%. That's not uncommon with our Fortune 500 clients, by the way. That's not a strange story. That's not I jump on calls with companies that are worth 100, 500 billion and more, and they're down 50% in clicks, 60% in clicks, and they've got, if not dozens, hundreds of people working on SEO. And so there's this discussion already going on with boards, with CMOs, with everybody. Everyone wants answers. By empowering the marketing manager, empowering the CMO to both see this data at different levels, you're already building kind of this turtle shell of invincibility around your product, because it's starting to feed the entire business strategy for this entire kind of line of questioning that everyone's been getting. So it's been massively powerful.
So the personas for you guys are interesting, right?
Yeah.
So the SEO manager is a person to evangelize. The CMO is a person that you want to sign off on the budget at the end of the day.
Exactly.
Who are some of the key other key players when you guys are both seeking to win a deal and rolling out Profound?
I mean, the interesting thing is that like we work with a lot of different teams. I mean, PR teams are incredible. We work with a lot of PR teams who don't really, the PR teams are just interested in the sentiment areas, like what's being said about the brand, where, when, why, and how, because we're able to track day-to-day sentiment. And AI search is extremely responsive. So it's a really interesting analog for like crisis comms management, really interesting there. You'd be surprised by the CMO, I think, is probably, or the CMO, the CEO, founder type, really a powerful and understated advocate for the platform itself.
Right.
When I think we are like the platform of choice for executives right now, because we have the most distilled dashboard. I think the way I joke about Profound is that we've got like a CMO view, and then we've got the marketing manager, we've got this SEO view. And you can do your day-to-day, you could live in Profound and analyze to a hyper granular level in your like SEO view, but you could log on as a CMO and see in 12 seconds, our visibility is this. It's been moving in this direction across these topics. Here's what the situation is. Building something that feeds both of those interests was, I think, P0 for us to start out. We had to have the ability to extrapolate. I think one of the biggest sins of SEO and the search industry as a whole is to create these products that, well-intentioned, don't bring multiple layers of people into the room. I think the unlock for SEO that brings it beyond, and the thing that they could have done when they were starting out, is really build a universal product for cross-marketing team use. When I was an SEO at HubSpot, the only people that were using Ahrefs or SEMrush was the SEO team, and it's the technical SEOs at that.
Yeah.
So it's definitely something that I think we're going to iterate and improve on massively.
When you look at the customer list of Profound, at least the ones that you share publicly,
Sure.
it's quite a diverse range.
Yes.
From almost SMB/mid-market, B2B SaaS, all the way up to Fortune 100 companies, consumer focused. As you think of it today, who's the ideal customer for Profound?
I think it's someone who wants to win a new channel. I think it's like literally it's a channel readiness thing. It's like if you feel like you have this kind of burning hole in your chest where you're like, we need some new ground to just start winning maybe this one specific space in. We need the ability to start moving faster than our competitors, and we need every advantage we can get. This is the kind of marketer that is usually drawn to Profound. It's the kind of person that realizes that, all right, this is a nascent space. My competitors probably aren't in here yet. And I've got this opportunity, just like social back in the mid 2010s. And if you want to go really far back, just like, web in the early 2000s. But yeah, I mean, it's really, it's like advertising it's like marketing on TikTok in 2018. Like, this is an early play. The point is that you're going to get the lion's share of value by the virtue of being early and being ready for this.
But these are diverse customers. That creates a world of complexity internally for you guys
I mean, you'd be
to make them successful, right?
I'm sure.
Because
Yeah.
you're running point for
I run point with the
for
customers. Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Exactly right.
So you're on the coal face of this.
I am.
Right?
Yeah, I'm on the front lines of this.
So you're speaking to CMOs and Fortune 100s in 1 second.
Yep, and I'm talking to founders.
And founders with
and
two
guess
people
what?
in marketing at a 100-person company.
Guess what the bottom line is?
Where?
Execution.
All right.
The bottom line is doing experiments. The number one determinant of your success with Profound is the ability to launch your very first experiment.
Right.
When you launch your first freaking experiment in Profound, you are going to see some results. When you see the results, and usually because we're pushing you forward with the data, we've got all of the insights onto what's being cited. Unless there's some catastrophic situation with your SEO, 99% of the time you're going to see a gain. You're going to see that you're more visible, you're cited more in ChatGPT.
But that is like the most beautiful case for you guys ever, right? Because no matter what experiment you get them to run, you're going to generate dramatically positive ROI.
That's exactly right, because we have the answer.
Right. A follow-on question must come about attribution, right? And how do they start to see the ROI of this investment?
Hugely.
And what are the signals they should be looking for? Because it's such a nascent space, they probably don't even know in the first instance. And then how do they track that over time?
Yeah, I mean, there's a cohort of customers. I'll start that again, but there's a cohort of customers out there right now that are, I think the best customer right now knows that, first of all, attribution is broken. So like we're entering the room with a broken vase on the floor, water on the floor, and the flowers are on the floor. Everything's on the floor right now. And it's not ideal for anyone because we know the user modality right now, something like 85, 90, we did this in the survey. I don't remember the number, 85 to 90% of people who are using these tools, the way when they decide what they want to buy, if they decide what they want to buy, they copy the name, they go into Google, it looks like direct traffic, and the click is like 1% of the equation. Nobody's clicking. But when they do click, it does give you signal. If you can attribute the percentage of clicks to the percentage of not clicks, you can start to understand some of the discoverability.
In a fuzzy way.
In a fuzzy way. I mean, everything's in a fuzzy way right now too, right?
Yeah.
Because, you've got shopping, but shopping's nascent. You've got product discoverability, but it's fresh. No one really knows how it works. You've got the direct traffic problem, but again, we don't really know how to attribute it. So the way that we think about attribution is multi-pronged. First things first, if you absolutely need attribution, we have the ability to track referral traffic from ChatGPT. So we know, or ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, I'm going to be very specific. We can track it from many engines. So we know how many people are clicking from the actual answer engine onto your site. Now, given that number, let's say it's 100 people out of 1,000 citations, great. Roughly out of 1,000 times that little tiny chiclet that appears, tryprofound.com in ChatGPT, you can click and you go to our website. And then if you converted, whatever, you go to the website, you convert. We know that, okay, you did do that. That is referral traffic. Great. For any of that fuzzy stuff, understanding the difference between referral traffic from the answer engine and something like how did you hear about us? Oh, we put ChatGPT in and now 10% of our leads say ChatGPT. It's very telling.
Okay.
So there's micro tactics there too.
And are those the answers that you're giving when the CMO of a Fortune 100 company sits opposite you and says, how do I know if this is working or not?
Yeah, that's the hardest thing about it right now is that there is no better way right now. It's a really difficult problem. And the best thing that we have right now is referral traffic. And the worst thing you have right now is like, how'd you hear about us?
Right.
Other than that, you're living according to Google and you're living according to that like direct traffic kind of misattribution.
In the spirit of servicing customers to the best of your ability, what are some of the ways as you run point with customers that are rapidly expanding, your volume of customers increasing? What are some of the ways that you try to stay close to these
We go out
customers?
there and we go do on-sites. I mean, we
Yeah,
do
I
not,
love
no
that.
holds barred. I mean,
Yeah,
we are,
this is coming back
we're
more and
completely
more.
unreasonable in our extension. I mean, we treat it like, we're a customer success team. We treat it more like we're MBB consultants. We're like surgeons, forward deployed engineers, call it whatever you will. We're like the elite SWAT team of AEO though. I mean, we've got a team of like, I think 7 or 8, and we're constantly adding to it, of the most incredible engagement managers, account managers, AI strategists, AI analysts in the world. And these are the people in the world who, if they wanted to do their own thing, they could all be founders. They could all be starting their own thing.
So they're going
And
on site with
they're
customers.
going on site. They're going insane. I mean, these
Yeah.
people they're fully, I mean, you could ask them about some of the company strategies. They're living inside these companies, basically thinking every day. They wake up, they eat their cornflakes, and they're thinking, how do I make General Motors more visible in AI search? How do I make Adidas more visible in AI search?
So is that sort of white glove service something that is just part of the subscription to Profound? Is that an added service?
Enterprise.
It's
Profound
enterprise.
Enterprise, exactly.
Right.
We have we're starting a free tier. We have a light,
Yeah.
and we have enterprise, and enterprise is everything.
Everything. Okay. And so these people must be the source of the insights that filter back to the organization in terms of what you need to build from product, how you need to adapt your pricing, positioning, packaging. Okay. Are there any ways that you guys are adapting or trying to incorporate what they're bringing back, right? The volume of this stuff must be much greater than you could ever build.
Yeah, it's really difficult. I think the biggest thing right now is we obviously sit down as a team and we try to chart things out. I think the real limiting reactant though is how fast the product moves versus how fast we move versus how fast the customers want to move. And it's really like trying to track 3 different trains on 3 different railways at the same time. Everyone is kind of in velocity, moving, shipping, doing things. I like to think that the cream of the crop does float to the top. Like the issues that are squeakiest get solved. The things that we want to move forward with do end up getting taken care of just by virtue of the market pressures. Like thankfully, we have enough customers that are loud enough, and we have engagement managers and business development folks that are tactful enough to know how to bucket these things up and advocate for the customers, move these things forward. Because I mean, I'll give you an example. When we started our light tier, we started the light tier with only 1 seat. That one was easy to correct into 3 seats. It was easy for us to know, all right, folks want more seats. The CMO or the CEO would sign up for Profound and immediately try to invite their colleague and immediately
delegate down. Yeah.
Exactly. And they were like, what gives? What's the deal?
Yeah.
That's an easy piece of feedback to incorporate. But no, there's lots of different things that we're working on. Yeah.
Because I think it's particularly interesting when a space is so nascent, right? Like for, where you previously worked, HubSpot, and as all of that information feeds back, like everyone that's purchasing and using HubSpot knows HubSpot, right? They're within that world, right? And for you guys, I'm sure you get the wild and the wonderful of requests that come in, and how do you respond to that? And particularly around how people might want certain things to be priced or packaged or purchased, right? Like that. This is not only product, but how actually people want to conduct business with you guys.
We keep ourselves very flexible.
Okay.
We keep ourselves very flexible.
Yeah.
I mean, we have custom reports. We build reports that like, we did a report for a hotel brand, and the hotel brand has a hotel close to Central Park. We took a 3D render of the building, and then you can go and you can look at the different sections of the building via the inaccuracies that LLMs have. So if we look at the guest rooms, we can zoom into the guest rooms and see the guest rooms have inaccuracies around the size of the guest room or the price of the guest room or how many people like a certain type of guest room can sleep. We do it for the spot. What time is the spot open? What time is the spot closed? It's literally this render, this building. Is that standard in the product? I don't think so, but we're happy to do it.
Yeah. So you're going above and beyond, and we spoke to on the series we spoke to Manny Medina, who founded Outreach and now is founding Paid, and he spoke a lot about we are now at an era where custom contracts are going to be standard.
The only standard is custom.
Yeah. And you need to find a way to manage that at scale within your business, and I think that is one of the best developments that's going to happen in selling software in the next couple of years, because it is going to force all salespeople honestly to level the fuck up, because you need to deeply understand your prospect's company if you can do that successfully.
And salespeople need to be deal crafters instead of deal makers now. I mean, we need to be able to map ourselves onto these organizations. And that's the play right now.
So Profound 5 years from now, it's a very long horizon.
Yes.
What are you thinking? How are you seeing? What is a wonderful outcome there?
I think Profound is going to be the dashboard for marketers in the AI era. I think the way that any major marketing tool is used, I think Profound is going to be the single source of truth across an email, a PR campaign, even web ads. I mean, within these tools and beyond, Profound is going to be the index by which you measure your performance. You release content, you measure how that content works, you optimize your frameworks, and you continue to create this marketing and sales flywheel. That's the ideal, is that it lives in the core of all these activities, because AI defines and redefines what it means to do those things.
It sounds like an enormously expensive endeavor.
It does.
You guys have raised 2 rounds.
That's correct.
Very quick succession.
Yes.
Is Profound a very expensive company to fund and build with very many people that are going on site with brands that are doing all of that? Or is this a lean approach?
Extremely lean. We're incredibly lean. Yeah, we're going on site. Yeah, we're working with the customers, but nothing stops churn more than showing up in person. Nothing solidifies a customer relationship than being unreasonably hospitable to someone and being there in person. When you think about your software provider and you think about someone who provides something, you're gonna immediately think about the person that you met in person, the person that flew you out to a conference, the person that wants that partnership, not just like the person that wants the deal, but the person who wants the partnership. I think that's what it means to be a Profound, is to be a partner with these businesses in this new era, more than just being a software tool, more than just being a technology that's used. We're the Sherpa, we're the guides. We're the humble servants of these people and these brands as they make their way up to the top of Everest. Does that mean that we carry heavy loads? Absolutely, but it's an honor to do it too. And I think a lot of brands would kill for that opportunity. So we're just lucky to be in the right place.
Nice. Well, thank you so much for
Absolutely.
joining us. It was an
Absolutely.
absolute pleasure to meet you.
Seriously.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thanks, Josh.
Absolutely.
Nice. God, excellent.